Hello, and welcome. Welcome once again to the Secrets of the High Demand Coach podcast. And here with us today is the one and only Cecile Peterkin, who is the founder and chief transformation strategist at the Leadership Coaching Center. She has over 22 years of expertise and experience as a distinguished confidence coach and mentor, helping thousands of professionals and aspiring entrepreneurs to unleash their unique strengths, pivot with purpose, and craft legacy careers. She balances authority with compassion, cultivating a leadership style that is human-centric and dynamic. This not only guides her interactions, but shapes the empowering and inclusive environments that she's committed to creating. Cecile, when I was getting ready for this episode, I got really excited because I help a lot of founders and have so over the years. And one of the things that I've found is virtually every single one of them has this season before they start, that I call the dissatisfied employee, right? It might be dissatisfied employee or student or something. There's just this frustration that builds ahead of time. And I have found that that's actually, as near as it can be, a necessary season for founders. But I've also found, especially as entrepreneurism becomes more popular, that a lot of folks mistake being dissatisfied with meaning you've got to go start your own business. In many ways, that kind of can be a big reset on a career. It's a really tough thing to do. But I mean, you know more than most that there are many ways for us as employees, as entrepreneurs, to find fulfillment. Do you think that just because someone's dissatisfied that that means that they're on a path to becoming an entrepreneur?
No, not at all. Not at all. They're dissatisfied maybe with the company, maybe with their manager or leader, but it doesn't mean entrepreneur. It simply means, and what I like to do when I'm speaking to my client about things like that, I don't know if you're familiar with Simon Sinek, leadership, and I use it as personal leadership, not just about a company. So I always say why. I always ask the questions why. And if they don't have a concrete plan to tell me why they want to do it, I say, well, maybe what you should be thinking is maybe changing the company, changing career, looking at anything else. And I work with a client like that where she was let go. So she got a nice package, and her package included coaching. So she came to me to coach, for her to coach, to turn into an entrepreneur. She didn't have a plan, but she had something she wanted to work on. So I talked to her about the plan, what is required in a business plan, and ask her why. Her why was not bad. It was actually pretty good because she had ideas. But putting together a business plan, she wasn't able to. She wasn't able to put the business plan. And eventually she realized, she said to me, I get it. It's time for me to look for another job at another company. I was let go. I've got a good package. Instead of wasting the package, starting a business that might not work, I'll go back. Yeah. So no, you are so correct. It's not for everyone. And I didn't quit to become an entrepreneur. My company was sold. I was thinking of moving out on my own to do training. And I thought regular training, I don't really see myself doing that. So I was in the process of thinking and researching what I could do. Then my company was sold, which was fantastic because it gave me the push I really needed. Yeah. And the company that bought us, I was in finance, the company that bought us, I didn't want to be on their management team anyway. Yeah. So it was the push, but it took me a year. And why I got started in coaching actually is my partner was working, he worked in Toronto, but he got transferred to an office in Connecticut. And there was a coaching magazine about coaching. And he came home and said, this is what you should do. You mentor all the time. You're coaching everyone. You're doing it, but you don't realize you're doing it. And I thought, yeah, I think I like that better than training. So I took a year off to get certified. And while getting certified, it's just meeting more people, going to networking events, talking, doing things like that. And then I realized, yeah, it is really me. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what I did. Yeah.
I love that. And I think what's so important about that is for those who are founders, who are entrepreneurs in the making, one of the things that I've found is that even when the circumstances get better, that frustration doesn't seem to go away, right? It just kind of, it might be on the back burner a little bit, but it kind of just haunts you. And And so one of the things that we see, I'll zoom out for a second. One of the things that we see in times of financial crisis, right, a 2008 crisis, we even saw this coming in the wake of COVID, is that there's a sharp rise in entrepreneurship, right? Folks are laid off and they think, hey, I got to go start my own business. We also see a commensurate rise in the failures of new businesses, right? It goes quite high because a lot of folks, it's just not the right path for them. And so what I think is really helpful for folks, and what I love about your approach here, I want to dive into a little bit more, is how can we start to separate out that and understand what that frustration is? Is it really that we've got the kind of seed of being a founder in there, or is there an easier way? So my question for you is we've talked about the why. Maybe what are some good examples of the why that might lead someone to pursuing another job, like the story you told earlier, versus the why for someone who might want to consider entrepreneurship?
There's two things. It's funny you should bring that question up because it's a very good question. Yesterday, I went for a walking coaching session with a young client of mine, very bright. I've been working with her for years on and off. And she has great ideas. And when she first approached me with the great ideas, she was even talking about it as well. And then she realized I think she was maybe 25 at the time. And her mom was a client, and her mom was working at the bank, and her mom left the bank. I started coaching her mom at the bank, and her mom realized that she'll never get anywhere in the bank through the coaching. So what she actually did was she went back to school and got her master's, I think, in administration, and she got a really good job at the hospital, I think, in a really high position, and she was happy. So she wanted to leave the bank. She got a coach to see if she could stay. She couldn't stay at the bank. So she decided to go back to school to further her education to get the job that she was looking for that she wouldn't have gotten in the bank. So I'm working with her daughter before her mom set up a program for her daughter. And she did well. She left the job she was at. She was in a managerial position. And during COVID, of course, she was in hospitality. So that hotel closed. And so she started doing things on her own, and she was going back to entrepreneurial stuff. And she have got it figured out. She does fitness and wellness. So she's teaching at various gyms. And she's doing so well that one of the gym owners said to her, if you want to go out on your own, try and speak to at least 5 clients. She said, some of the gyms you're in, like big corporate ones, you cannot. It's their clients. But I've watched you, and I've seen how the clients gravitate towards you. So I'm giving you permission to speak to, say, maybe 5 of the clients who might be interested.
Wow.
And you can also use my space. I'll charge you rent, but not the going rate. And you can use my space to actually train these clients.
Wow.
And she was excited about it, and she's got her plan and of how she's going to do it, what she's going to be doing. And it's funny because during the lockdown, she started another company, cleaning service. So she was cleaning houses and things like that. And she wanted to branch out to make it a lot larger now, doing both. Right. And I said to her, because her background is relatively, she went to school, so she has a degree in business. And I said to her, well, look at which one do you think is going to be easier to start? Which one is going to be better to manage? And then and the moment I said, she goes, oh my God, you're right. The fitness, I love fitness, and that's going to be easier to start because I'm going to have a space. But the cleaning, what she was looking at was she would purchase a van and she'd pick up the cleaners, and then then she'd drive them to where they're going to be located. And she was speaking to her dad about it, and her dad said, that's not a wise idea. It's going to cost you too much in gas to picking up all these people. And I said, yes, he's right. It doesn't make sense. So it's best that you hire cleaners who actually have a driver's license and they can drive. And I said to her, you have to remember too, going to be bonded, licensed, and everything else. Because I had a cleaning company, but I wasn't working in the cleaning company. I just, as a partner. And a friend of mine, he was doing all the cleaning. I don't want to clean anyone's house. It's just no way. I'm sorry. I have a cleaning lady. Why am I being a cleaning lady? So I was telling her it's not easy because you're going to get a lot of people. You're going to get complaints because people have become accustomed to her doing the cleaning, not other people coming in now to do the cleaning. So I said, you're going to have to train them. And immediately she said, back burner, I'm going to move on to the fitness and wellness. So she had the mindset and she has the drive and the goals. And she already had figured out what she wanted to do. It's just now, instead of starting both first, I said, no, you can't. It's going to be too much. You're very ambitious, but too much. And yes, so you have to, I don't think people realize just about everything you approach in life, you need a plan.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to buy a house, you need a plan. You're making a big purchase, you need a plan. It's not just you just get up and you start doing something and expect that it's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Because it takes a long time to start a business and get it going where you're actually known and people trust you.
Yeah.
And there's the networking piece when you're not working and making any money because you're trying to gather more clients. So it is difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's say there's someone out there, they're frustrated at work, and they just want to be more fulfilled. What are some of the things that they can do to better align that? You had mentioned going back to school. You mentioned exploring some entrepreneurial ideas. Are there some common things that folks do to find that fulfillment?
Yes. You know what I've actually also, I'll ask my clients before you started working, what were you interested in? Do you have any hobbies? Are you interested in reading? How many books have you read? Have you have time to read now? Because everyone has a life outside of work that you enjoyed before you started working. And suddenly, eventually, you put it in the back burner. So I try to get them to go to that place and said, what is it that's making you frustrated? Are you missing your hobbies? Are you missing that you're not spending enough time with your kids? And then I would say to them, well, if you've been in the company long enough and you like the company, why don't you ask if you can reduce your hours or work from home some days so you can walk to school to pick up your kids? So I said, don't just quit a job before you're frustrated because you're frustrated. Look at what's causing the frustration. Because if you can stay at that company and actually still get you what you need, that's a bonus. Because in fact, when I was planning that I wanted to branch out on my own, I reported to the executive vice president. So I was planning to see him, to talk to him, to said, this is what I'm planning, and I'd like to work 3 days a week. And I know he wouldn't say no. So then I could plan my business. But then the company was sold, even a bigger push, and I'm also getting a package. So I'm cool to take, a year or two off and still have money. So that's what I said to her. So I explained that's what I did. So I said, you can approach your company and speak to them about it, to say, this is what I want to do because my kids are young and I want to see them grow up to reach, middle school or something like that. So people get frustrated because of work. It's easy to blame work because our time really is consumed by work. The travel to get there, while we're there, some people get frustrated because if you're in management and in management, you're managing more people than managing projects, it's time consuming. And it's like being a parent when you're managing kids. It's like now a lot of my clients are complaining about Gen Zs and the frustrations. And I'm trying to say, but what are the age group of your kids? And a lot of them have the same age groups. I said, are you frustrated with your kids? No, because they're my kids. I said, well, put your mother hat on, but it's for work and get to know them because then it's like your kids. And for some, it worked. For some, they just don't want anything to do with them. And I'm thinking to myself, I guess you don't want anything to do with your kids either.
Oh my goodness. Cecile, I could keep going with this conversation. There's so many different ways to go and questions that I want to ask, but I have one question that I do not want to let get by us. And that is, what would you say is the biggest secret that you wish wasn't a secret at all? What's that one thing you wish everybody watching and listening today knew?
Before you do anything, take a job, start a business, get to know who you are. That's and be truthful about yourself. You can even get your friends to help you, but you need to do some on your own. Because what I find is once you figure out who you are, it's just easier to maneuver life, whether it's at work or in business. Like, because the people get to know you, because a lot of times people don't know you, and you're not just your job, your outside interests, and you let people what your outside interest is all about. Here's a perfect example of what happened to me at work. I I love working out. I go to a gym every day, and I still do. And I was busy. I'm in management, senior management, so I'm busy. So I used to split it, um, go in early in the morning when no one is there, get some of my work done, and then just walk down the street to my gym because it was close, and then come back and I would start work. Not a big deal. And and then I would leave again in the evenings. I'd finish at 4 because I've been in so early in the morning, and then I'd go to the gym, finish off what I want to do. So I'd do my cardio and my weights, and then I would go back to work and do some more work till maybe 8 o'clock. I was single, I don't have kids, and that would be good. But I always take my lunch at noon. And we were in a management meeting, and my director, she's always going overtime. And I always just say, okay, fine. And this day I said, everyone knows my lunch is at 12 because I'm here at 6 o'clock in the morning. I choose to be here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I choose to leave at 8. So I'm not complaining about that at all. But you also know my lunch is at 12. Therefore, and this meeting is supposed to end at 12. This is why you schedule it, because I need to leave to have my lunch. I said, I'm not staying. She goes, 5 more minutes. I said, no, I'm not staying. Yeah. She never did that again. She never did. And everyone said, you did that? I said, yes, you have to look after you. Yeah. And you have to set boundaries. And I was looking after myself. Like, I've been up since 4. And it's time for me to eat my lunch. But she's doing it all the time. And she and I had a really good relationship, and we always did. And even if I didn't, I wouldn't be afraid to talk to her about it, because you have to speak up and stand up for yourself in order to get respect and set boundaries, even at work. Setting boundaries with your kids, set boundaries with everyone, your friends. So that way they know who you are.
So good.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So, Cecile, there's some folks listening, and they're there. They're frustrated with work. They want to find more meaning in what they do. They don't know if it's entrepreneurism, if it's being an employee. They want someone who can help guide them along the way. Where can they find more out about you and the work that you guys do?
So what I do, I work with entrepreneurs, because when I was approached, when I had this is my newer business now. And what I always take the route of, it's your business, you're entrepreneur, but you're also your own employer. So there are boundaries you need to set for yourself as your own employer as to how you're going to achieve things. So if that's your roots, the first thing you have to do, and it's the same thing like looking for a job. Looking for a job is a job. Being an entrepreneur is also a job when you're about to start, because there are things you have to do. You got to research, you got to set up business meetings with people who are in the same field and what you're doing, and find out, if they could change one thing about when they were getting started, just asking questions. So you don't have to go down the same route that everyone went down, why it didn't work. So that is a job that you have to do, and you have to be prepared to do that. And that's why when I was coaching this client, she said, no, I want to go back to a work where I know exactly what I'm doing. Because you know what you want to do as an entrepreneur, but to get there, that is the part. That is a lot of work. And I always say to people, think about it this way. Your paycheck is guaranteed at work until they let you go. Your paycheck is also guaranteed when you're an entrepreneur and you're working, but it's not guaranteed when something happens in the economy. So how will you feel? So it's just all these different things they start thinking about. It's like, oh, well, I'm young, recently married, planning a family, I've got a house. Maybe this is not the time. And that's the things you have to think about. I was on someone else's podcast, and she's young and an entrepreneur. And she started professional women meetup, and it's all virtual. And that's exactly what she did. She started as an entrepreneur before she got married and have kids. Now she married and have kids. It's perfect. It's working out perfectly for her, because she doesn't have to worry, because she built that now for 10 years, and her kids are only 6 and 7.
Right.
So, it's going out to network, to meet people and meet other women entrepreneurs who, having kids or they've gone through it. And then you realize, oh yeah, I can do this. Ask someone to become a mentor. Like, do you mind mentoring me, and just guide me along the way, because you got there and I'd like to be where you're at. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Well, Cecile, thank you so much for all that you've shared today. Just really was an honor and a privilege having you here today. I appreciate you being on the show. For those of you watching and listening, you know that your time and attention mean the world to us. I hope you got as much out of this conversation as I know I did, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Take care.